You know how Roxas from Kingdom Hearts can dual wield 2 Keyblades at the same time? Where'd the second one come from? The ability to dual wield is weird enough, but there's a pretty solid explanation there. We know why he and Sora can both do this, I'll get into it in a bit. The real unanswered question is where he got the second one, because as far as I know there isn't a hard answer. It definitely didn't come from thin air though, this thing either belongs to Ventus or Xion. We'll talk about whose I think it is in a minute, but let's start with why Roxas can dual wield in the first place. Oddly enough, it's the same reason he and Ventus are identical. You see, at the end of Birth by Sleep, Ventus almost dies. He comes so close that his heart is forced to flee and go into a coma to recover. This is when Aqua hides his body inside Castle Oblivion, but his heart instead travels across worlds and into a 4-year-old Sora. That's where he stays until the very end of Kingdom Hearts 1, where Sora temporarily turns himself into a Heartless. Of course, Kairi is a princess of hearts, so she can just restore him right away, but for whatever reason she does it by creating an entirely new body, which means the nobody Sora also inadvertently made is just free to get scooped up by the organization. This is how we get Roxas, but it also means that Ventus's heart ends up inside of him instead of Sora. That is, until they both get absorbed at the beginning of Kingdom Hearts 2. In the meantime though, Roxas is Sora's nobody, but he has Ventus's heart. It's still asleep, so he doesn't just become Ven, but it is where his appearance comes from, and it's why he can dual wield. Most Keyblade wielders can only use one at a time, even if they have access to multiple. Sora and Roxas can both use 2 though, because they've spent significant periods of their lives hosting the heart of another Keyblade wielder. As an aside, this implies that Sora could theoretically use 4 Keyblades at the same time. That's because he's been the host of Roxas and Xion's hearts alongside Ventus's. What about Roxas' second Keyblade though? He got the ability to dual wield from Ven, so is that where he got the sword too? Well, I would argue that it's actually Xion's. In fact, I already have, that's a big part of my Xion needs her own Keyblade video. I won't go through it all here, but in short, the finale of Kingdom Hearts 358 over 2 days very heavily implies that Roxas took up Xion's Keyblade after killing her, and that's why he can dual wield in the final mission. Unfortunately, as many of my comments reminded me, that's sort of refuted by something from the Birth by Sleep Ultimania. The Ultimanias are the databooks of Kingdom Hearts. They give you a bunch of lore and behind the scenes information from the respective games. In Birth by Sleeps, there's a Q&A near the end that tells us a ton about Roxas for some reason. That includes things about why Roxas can dual wield, and the idea that his second Keyblade is Ven's. Now, the Ultimanias were never produced in English, and I don't speak Japanese, so the best I can give you is a machine translation from my iPhone that I've edited for clarity. Keeping that in mind, this is what people usually cite when they say Roxas' second Keyblade is Ventus's. Why can Roxas use 2 sword style? Because Sora has the heart of 2 Keyblade users, himself and Ventus, his nobody, Roxas, also has the possibility of using 2 Keyblades at the same time. After defeating Xion in 358 over 2 days, Roxas awakened to the 2 sword style. The caption of the accompanying image tells us a little more. Quote, "The desire to not forget Xion, who is a user of the Keyblade, made Roxas understand the 2 sword style." This Q&A makes what we've already gone over pretty clear. Roxas gained the ability to dual wield because he's Sora's nobody and Sora hosts Ventus's heart. Notably though, it doesn't tell us anything about where Roxas got his second Keyblade. Furthermore, he and Ventus don't have that much in common when it comes to combat. You'd think if Roxas was using Ven's Keyblade, he'd have access to Wayward Wind, or at least use his own backhand once in a while, but he never does. On the contrary, the first time he dual wields, before transforming them into Oathkeeper and Oblivion, Roxas summons 2 Kingdom Keys. Who else uses a Kingdom Key? All this leads me to a compromise, a way for the Q&A and what's implied at the end of 358 over 2 days to both be canon at the same time. Roxas has the ability to dual wield because he's Sora's nobody with Ventus' sleeping heart, but he only unlocked that after beating Xion because he took up her Keyblade to try and free Kingdom Hearts. Basically, Roxas does use Xion's Keyblade when he dual wields at the end of days, just like I said, but most wielders wouldn't be able to do that. As we went over, even people who have access to multiple can only use one at a time. Roxas is exempt from this rule because Ventus' heart slumbers inside of him, but the Keyblades themselves are his and Xion's. At least, that's according to my interpretation of a badly translated paragraph from the Ultimania of Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep. Make sense?